to effectively and seriously contribute to the peaceful settlement of the Palestinian question in the form of concrete commitments for a comprehensive, just and lasting settlement of this issue, which establishes peace, security and stability in the region. The Arab Group welcomes the communiqué of the 21st of July 2025 by a number of countries regarding the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories, which clearly called for an end to the aggression in Gaza, the immediate ending of the policy of genocide, and the systematic starvation, and accountability for perpetrators of crimes against the Palestinian people, as well as sanctions being imposed on the occupying power and its terrorist settlers. We also welcome the announcement by a number of countries of their intention to recognize the brotherly Palestinian state. These are positive measures in line with international law and the relevant resolutions of the Security Council. This constitutes significant support for the legitimate rights of the fraternal Palestinian people to ensure that they can enjoy their right to self-determination and establish their independent state, and also to strengthen the possibilities for a comprehensive and lasting peace in the region. The Arab Group reiterates its call upon all those states that have not yet recognized the State of Palestine to take similar measures that reflect a commitment to international law and to support the historic unchanged rights of the fraternal Palestinian people on their territory. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the delegation of Iraq for their statement. I now give the floor to the delegation of Kuwait. Thank you, Mr. President, and allow me to begin by thank you for convening this meeting and congratulate you and your country on assuming the presidency of the Security Council. Mr. President, I'm honored to deliver this statement on behalf of the member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council. The United Arab Emirates, the Kingdom of Bahrain, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the State of Qatar, the Sultanate of Oman, and my own country, the State of Kuwait. We would like to thank Mr. Miroslav Janča, Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs, and Mr. Ramesh Rajasingham, Head and Representative of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Geneva, OCHA, for the valuable briefings. Mr. President, we reaffirm our firm, unchanged principled position in support of the Palestinian cause and our rejection of all forms of occupation and settlement. We express our deep concern and our strong denunciation of the dangerous decision announced by the Israeli government to invade the Gaza Strip and impose full control over it, which is a direct threat to the lives of more than 2 million Palestinians, most of them women and children. And this lays the groundwork for a new stage of genocide and forced displacement, and undermines any chance of achieving a two-state solution. It's also a flagrant violation of international law and the United Nations Charter. Any comprehensive invasion of the Gaza Strip will not just impact the Palestinian people, but will also affect the entire region, leading to an unprecedented spiral of violence and explosion, and Israel will bear full responsibility for it, and the international community will have to answer for silence or failure to prevent it. Mr. President, the international community headed by the Security Council must assume its legal, moral, and historic responsibilities. The scenes of genocide are being repeated before the eyes of the Council without any action being taken. This is a failure of the international community which threatens to undermine the role and credibility of the Council, particularly in this matter. It is a destructive message to the population when international laws are applied selectively. Mr. President, urgent and binding measures must be taken under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter in order to stop this brutal aggression, guarantee international protection for the Palestinian people, and ensure the safe delivery of humanitarian, medical, and relief assistance. And we must also support UNRWA and reject any attempts to undermine its role. In this regard, we value the great efforts undertaken by the State of Qatar and the Arab Republic of Egypt in coordination with the United States of America to achieve a comprehensive and immediate ceasefire to halt the aggression, protect civilians, an agreement that would also ensure the exchange of prisoners and detainees and which would create the ideal conditions for the return of displaced persons to their homes and facilitate the safe and unimpeded entry of humanitarian aid. The Gulf Cooperation Council states support these efforts, and we want to strengthen them through coordination with the relevant regional and international parties in a way that breaks the cycle of violence and revives a serious political process that meets the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people. Mr. President, we all witnessed just a short time ago the convening of the high-level international conference for the peaceful settlement of the Palestinian question and the implementation of the two-state solution, co-chaired by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the French Republic. The conference embodied the will of the international community to relaunch a serious political process towards the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the borders of the 4th of June 1967, with East Jerusalem as its capital. In this regard, we welcome the recognition by a number of friendly states of the State of Palestine. However, Israel, the occupying power, continues its unilateral policies in violation of international law, defying the will of the international community and working against the commitments and efforts that were made during that conference. We condemn the continued Israeli violations in Jerusalem and the West Bank, including colonial settler expansion, and the expulsion and displacement of residents and repeated incursions of holy Islamic and Christian places in order to change the historic legal situation. Any attempt to impose a new colonial reality in Gaza or in the West Bank fully undermines the basis for a two-state solution and turns this international commitment into a political mirage. We warn against the continuation of these policies, which will only further worsen the cycle of violence. Mr. President, the GCC reaffirms that the only path to achieving security and peace in the region is to end the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian and Arab territories and to move towards the independence of a fully sovereign state of Palestine, but also to guarantee, in doing that, guaranteeing the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, the right to self-determination, return, and to live in dignity on their land, in accordance with relevant Security Council resolutions, in particular resolutions 242, 338, 497, 1515, and 2334. And we must also implement the advisory opinion issued by the International Court of Justice of the 19th of July 2024. In conclusion, and from this podium, our message is clear. Israel's impunity is no longer acceptable, and the ongoing aggression against Gaza is a real test of the credibility of the international system and its ability to protect people's peace and international peace and security. I thank you. I thank the delegation of Kuwait for their statement. I now give the floor to the delegation of Senegal. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I take this opportunity to congratulate you and to thank you for allowing my delegation that chairs the Committee on the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People to speak before this Council on a matter that no one can any longer ignore, the human tragedy unfolding before our eyes in Gaza. I also commend the insightful statements of Mr. Miroslav Jenka and Mr. Ramesh Rajasingham. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we are indignant at this tragedy. More than 60,000 lives shattered, massive destruction, a population starved, dispossessed, trapped under military attacks that are nothing less than collective punishment, cruel and illegal. Against the Israeli army stand unarmed civilians. We must oppose Israel's destructive force with the credible and unwavering force of law. Following the international conference on the two-state solution, Israel's announcement of the total takeover of Gaza is a blatant violation of international law and a direct challenge to the international community. If the world remains a spectator, we will not only witness an illegal occupation, we will see the erasure of human dignity, the perpetration of a crime of apartheid, and the unfolding of a genocide. Senegal strongly condemns the attacks on holy sites, Muslim and Christian, including the Church of the Holy Family, and the provocative intrusions into the courtyard of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The international community must protect Al-Aqsa and preserve the sacred nature of Jerusalem. We call upon the Security Council to awaken our collective humanity in order to end the disaster in Gaza. This requires 1. A military embargo and restrictions on arms shipments to the occupying power. 2. The immediate implementation of Resolution 2735 of 2024. In other words, a lasting ceasefire, release of hostages, and unhindered humanitarian access. And 3. The recognition of the State of Palestine as a full member of the UN and the deployment of an interposition force. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, if this complete takeover takes place, impunity will become the rule, and we will have given our backing to one of the worst ethnic cleansings in history. States must act now. They must apply the ICJ's advisory opinions and execute ICC mandates so that perpetrators, accomplices and sponsors are held accountable for their crimes. Finally, I wish to reiterate my country's call to all states that are committed to justice and humanity by legal obligation as well as by moral duty to embrace the aspirations of the Palestinian people for peace, stability and sovereignty within the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Palestine. Humanity is watching us. History will judge us. Thank you.
Agradezco.
I thank the delegation of Senegal for their statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.